Ryu, up. Oh, we're gonna back up then. Ryu, up. Oh, we're gonna back up then. Sit. Yes. What you should do with the vocalizing is, that's an instant backing up from what he wants. When you guys are on a walk, how often now is he barking at people?
I'd say it's like 1 every 4 or 5 people.
Oh, he still is? That many?
Yeah, like...
Did he just remember me?
I don't know. It tends to be more with people like passing by or...
Got it. Okay.
I really don't know what's the requirement for him to learn.
Okay, so a couple things we're gonna go over is one, so when that one guy just walked by, he's gonna be at different levels with the dogs because I think he's more zoned in on dogs. Yeah. But as far as strangers go, Ryu, sit. Yes. Are you always grabbing his attention first?
I try to.
I mean, that's really going to matter. The consistency has to be there.
Right.
For sure. Right. For anything to be able to work. Right now, what we're teaching him is when you get into that heightened state, to gain self-control, to settle down and snap out of it. If he has another dog influencing him, he's never going to. And I know with lots of redirection, he is going to be able to snap out of it on his own. He's so willing to like follow the direction that it just is going to take that consistency and not the other dog affecting him. If my dog had these kind of issues, I would never walk him with another dog. But what I do want to start introducing is that level of trying to get him, once we direct him, giving him some mental freedom to make the right decision. And one thing quick is that this socialization with a dog is amazing. So think of like, if you can have instances like this, socialization with a dog should mean where he knows the other dog is there, obviously, but you're able to get his focus and he's not being consumed by it. So like this, if we sat here like this for 10 minutes, instead of going nose to nose and having some weird thing happen, this is obviously gonna be so much better in the long run. So don't think that he has to go up to other dogs. He just has to, Ryu, sit, yes. Good. So that's with the dogs. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth with the dogs and people. But this is super, super good for him because the thing is, if he sees a dog like the one that just walked by, it's the stare down, it's his defensiveness coming out, and he never gets a chance to work through it because then the dog is gone, they're both watching each other. Right. And so what he needs is basically what I did before, backing him up to the point where he can settle down and focus on me and stop thinking that's a neutral thing. And then bring him back out. Like, okay, now that you're settled, let's try that spot where you couldn't handle yourself before. And going back and forth with that same stimulus sitting there. Ryu, yes, is the desensitization work that he needs with dogs. And so I think Petco's great because people are in there shopping with their dogs, and you might see, it might seem like the dogs aren't stationary, but they're walking around there for periods of time, you know, so that's what I would do with my dogs. I would go around the dog who was starting to get this protective instinct. He's staring at another dog. I'd try to snap him out of it. Oh, if he would snap out of it, I would just let the dog pass. If he wouldn't, I'd go around the corner, get him to sit quick, and then go right back out, kind of like go after that dog instead of that dog then leaving and him never having to see it again. You know, you have to put him back into the situations as much as you can. Because if every instance with a dog is just a new dog coming by, it's not even going to scratch the surface on that trust level. He needs instances like this. Now the vocalization you definitely want to shut down, whether it be sassy at you or at other people. So you always have to think about anytime he's vocalizing, take him further away from what he wants. Ryu, yes, good. Ryu, Ryu. So right there, that instance, most people would have I don't think you would have. But most people are just like, oh, he's already there anyways, just let him go all the way. Don't when he's in his own world. Ryu? Oh, he smells treats from you.
If the other person is just like, oh, they're already there and brings the dog forward, should I just walk backwards?
I would have walked backwards. Because I know he's going to be staying there, I didn't jerk him, and I knew the amount of the leash that I had, so I just kind of stood there very calm, maybe backed up a little this way. But make sure, if you can, it's hard in instances when a person just lets their dog go, but remember to back up with your feet, not your elbow. We talked about that, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we didn't. This jerking feeling that everybody does, it has a really negative effect on the dog. They're like, oh, I do need to protect more. So that's what I always tell when you do back up, move with your feet. Like, obviously if he's focused there, he's still gonna feel a little pressure, but it's different than that jerk feel. Come. Ryu. Sit. Yes, and know the length of the leash you have. Like, I think so many times I see people in this instance getting so nervous, they're like, oh God. I'm like, you're in control of the leash. You know, go like this, hold on to it, make sure you have his focus. I just think people tense up at this instance too. Come. Yes. Sit. He's so nervous, huh? Oh, you don't like this kind. What do you want? He wants your kind.
Sometimes I'll have trouble because
the
treats that I have won't be high enough value for whatever might be going on at the moment. So he'll lose complete interest in treats, and I won't know what I
got it. Okay. So
his focus back.
You back up from whatever it is that he's staring at. Sometimes you probably can't though, right? Is that like when he's feeling threatened by like a guy walking by or something? Sit.
Just like kind of now how there was like a lot going on at once.
Yeah, like this?
Like, yeah, like there was a bunch of cars passing by, there's a bunch of people. I guess he feels overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so it's like no matter where I back up, there's still a lot going on.
Okay, so in that instance, just keep trying to get his focus the whole time. You're gonna have to wait until all of the noises settle, but I think the mistake people make is once the noises settle, they don't follow through with getting the dog's focus.
Okay.
But if you train the dog to know when you hear these sounds, you have to come back to me. Okay. They'll start snapping out of it faster and faster and faster. Yeah, I mean, he's never heard these construction sounds and is like jumping. So I sit there and I'm like, no boo, no boo, no boo. Even while we were driving by one of them, I had nothing. He was like staring out, there was nothing. I still made sure even after we drove past, because that's the level he was just at, that he couldn't snap out of it until we passed by it. That's just the level he's at right now. But I know you have to make sure to get their focus so they know they're always gonna have to do that. And then next time maybe he'll snap out of it halfway through while it's still visible and we're in front of it. He'll start to snap out of it faster, faster, faster. Okay, so basically what we need to do when you have something that consistent, like the desensitization work like that, is we have to start figuring out a way to motivate him to have self-control to not do the initial reaction. Because nothing changed throughout that for directing him to where you wanted him to be. He's probably not gonna do it with me because he only wants to protect you actually. So I'll do the stomping and stuff because he'll do it to me. But basically what you're gonna wanna do is, Ryu, 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 yes, good. Sit. Yes, so right there, a situation where he didn't react but was anxious, make sure it ends on focus. What I'm gonna do is do the stomping, and basically he'll react once. You wanna show him what to do. So just like you were doing, reward him when he does look at you. Then afterwards, you're gonna let his mind go back to me. Okay. And so judging on how, probably at his level, the challenging level, I'm not gonna do the stomping again because it's already gonna be hard enough. He's already not gonna trust me from it. And what we're looking for when you do let his mind go back is for him to look back at you on his own. So here's the thing with training is that the different levels are always one, will the dog do it with your direction? Depending on the circumstance, he does follow your direction pretty well. Unless it's just too heightened, he thinks he has to protect so much. But level 2 is, will the dog do it on their own, which is obviously the goal with training. The goal is to not be on top of him forever. When you have a protective instinct, you have to start introducing the level 2 in these controlled instances for him to ever do it on his own. Because right now there's no motivation, because he's like, oh, she's always calling me out of it. So we're gonna start making him do it on his own, and once he starts doing that, only treats when he does it on his own.
Yes, good boy.
Yes, so that was perfect. So these instances where you know you're making the most progress, the instances where he's looking, crying, literally I can see it on inside of him, he's like battling, like, should I react or should I look up here, like right now? Yes, treats for that. Those are the instances we want to get him into more. Yes, that was perfect. That was a really good one. And if you think he's staring at me too long and like he's going to react, you can call him back to you. Okay. But just remember, if you call him back to you, that was level 1. So if you do a level 1, then let his mind go and try to see if he'll do it on his own at the level 2. Yes! He's doing so good. Because see, when one thing happens, it barely scratches the surface on getting him out of his own head, because that person is gone right away. And just exposing him to the same thing that triggered him multiple times is how you're really going to get him to resolve this, and letting him do it on his own. And that's something you can do at the Petco too. There's the people walking by, so one person like set him off, bring him back, make him relax, then re-expose him again. Ryu, you're okay? So keep telling him sit right now. I would get back to like too much focus and go back to like more treats now. So get him to like a calming spot. Call him again, yes. Get him back to too much focus. So basically what you have to do is give him mental freedom, but if it's too much for him, like this all was, get back to no mental freedom. But throughout training, you have to include that mental freedom for him to do it on his own. Yes, good. Then when he's regaining some self-control, now when his mind goes back out, you don't have to be as on top of him, you know? And now you can go back to like, okay, now the treat's only if you don't react. Hi! Yes, good. He just has to learn to control that protective switch, because it just literally 0 to 100 flips so quick. Yes! Yes! But yeah, I think that's really what he needs, is just introducing more of that mental freedom. Does that, it make sense? It's gonna take practice at, so don't feel like you're doing anything wrong if you're like, okay, I was letting his mind go with these things, but he was reacting. Like, it takes practice to be like, what is he okay with letting his mind go with, and what is he not, you know? And you just have to start kind of, his triggers I know are more random than most dogs, but just gauge things, distance. Here's a woman right now he's staring at. I would let his mind go. If he's staring for more than like a few seconds, snap him out of it. And just keep in the back of your mind, okay, that trigger of a woman crossing the street there, he didn't react, but he was at a level 1 where you had to snap him out of it. So it's like he's either at a 0 where he's reacting, level 1 where you had to direct him, or a level 2 where he did it on his own. So you just make mental notes of like the situations to then be like, okay, next time a similar instance to that happens, let's try level 2. Let's try to not direct him out of it. And then you want all level 2s. Good boy, that was a lot. I know.